Hello everybody, welcome to OCHD and welcome to another Jumputi Heroes video. Today we're going to be talking about something we have not seen in a very long time, which is a Jumputi Heroes player survey. These are very uncommon. It used to be the case that in the past they'd give us a bunch of these and we'd use it to sort of figure out what content was coming up in the future. And they would ask the questions genuinely, what series do you like? What series do you want to see more of in the game? And as a result of those surveys, it would influence the content we would see in the future. You know, I think like certain series were promised feature festivals and they got feature festivals, or at least promised like new content and they got new content. And then they just stopped doing them. I feel like the My Ship era of the game, which is what I'm going to refer to the period when like we first found out about Fuji P taking over, and we first found out about this update called My Ship or the Captain's Plan or whatever they called it, and all of this stuff. That entire period of the game, that entire era of the game, admittedly influenced heavily by like, you know, COVID and all this stuff. That was one of the worst eras of this game and one of the worst eras of many gacha games I have played. It was the devs just weren't communicating with us, and they just were just making horrific decisions, and they were being so greedy, so stingy, and it was just a bad time, and all for the sake of an update that ultimately no one gave a shit about. Like, who is logging in every day and saying, time to log into my ship and screen capture all my favorite characters on the ship for the 700th day in a row and send it to all my followers on Twitter or Line or whatever? Occasionally, people might do it for the sake of doing it because they think it's a funny little thing, but it's not something people are doing every day. It's not something that's really promoting the game. Ultimately, it was not worth the time they invested. It's just a bad time. It was just a bad time. But we're coming out the other side, and we have a survey, finally. And to be honest, this is one of a few things that I would say we have noticed have been improving. You know, slowly the rewards have been improving. The way they've handled certain campaigns and certain errors in game and stuff seems to be improving. Certainly the amount of rubies being given out slowly is getting to the place we want it to be. And just generally speaking, while I do think there have been some awful updates of recent, like the level 15 one, like the level 99 one. Although technically the level 99 one, I don't think it matters that much, but I think there are definitely some things they've handled poorly. There's definitely been some questionable choices, but I would say it's been trending slightly more positively than it was. A year ago, a lot of people were very miserable with this game, and it seems to be getting worse and worse when we were losing players. I've been seeing players come back a little bit. I've been seeing people tell you about the game a bit more, and I feel like we're covering, I don't know, it feels like we're moving in a good direction, especially with Roboco being added. It feels like more newer series could be added. There's that little spark of hope. People are saying, yo, Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen and all this stuff. There's hope, there's a chance, and they're going to add new series this year, and it's going to be great. And this survey is just another little spark of hope. Now, make sure to fill this out, guys. Even if you can't fill it out in full, even if you can't fill it out, you know, the way it should be in Japanese or whatever, do your best. You don't have to spend too long on it, and I highly recommend it just to have your input and just to say, you know, these are the things I like in game, these are the things I dislike in game, and these are the things I'd like to see. You just have to click on this link here, and you can fill out the form. Obviously, the form is in Japanese, but I have graciously translated it to the best of my ability for you, which you can see as we'll be going through here. Make sure to get your user ID from the home screen, as you can see in this screenshot. It's in the top right, and you will need that in order to fill out the form. And that's important because if you don't put in your user ID or you put it in incorrectly, after you submit the form, you'll think you're done, but no, because actually you won't get your reward when the time comes, and I assume they would still read your survey, but I don't know. Now, I have suggested some translation tools here. I actually highly recommend ChatGPT. I know a lot of people have concerns about AI taking over and all this stuff, but I found that it was particularly handy at getting a better translation than the other two I've suggested here. But if you're not comfortable using these or whatever, then these two, they'll get a good enough job done. It doesn't need to be perfect Japanese. It just needs to get the rough idea across. As long as you're not typing out something too complicated. If it's too complicated, you might have to use something like this. So you put your user ID. That's the first box. You have to input your gender. That's the second box. Your player rank. I was surprised that actually fell into the top bracket. But when you think about it, actually, the top bracket is quite large. It's almost half of the entire thing. But okay, yeah, sure, fair enough. Still happy to be at the top. One of the veterans at the top. Have you spent any money on Jumputi Heroes? Now, if you say no, there was a short period where this was broken, where if you said no, it would still ask you to fill out this question, even though you're not supposed to if you said no. But I think they fixed it now. So if you haven't spent any money in the game, you can say no and you can still skip this one. But if you have, you say yes and you say how much. Interestingly, I actually fell into this category, which I was surprised about, but actually they don't put enough packs on that I'd be willing to spend on. That's all it is. Like if they put like a few more packs that were like, if they brought back that one that's like, I think it's 2,940 yen, and over the course of 30 days you get 3,000 rubies and 30 jewel shards, I would be buying that. If they did that every month, I would buy it every month, and that would already take me almost all the way up to the 3,000. Plus, there's that pack that's like 500 rubies and a 5-star ticket for less than 500 yen. There's the one that's like 760 rubies, is it, over the course of 24 days, and that's quite cheap as well. So I would be moving into this bracket at least. They would be getting more money off me just by offering that pack, but by not offering that pack, they don't get that money. It's as simple as that. Simple business, you know, simple business. So hopefully they see good and they start offering better packs in the future. At the moment, you've got me squarely in this bracket, which is the lowest it can be. It's not getting higher anytime soon. For anybody that's in this bracket, I will pray for you at night. Before I go to bed, I will pray for you. And I do feel sorry for you, because you shouldn't be here. No one should be here. But thank you for supporting the game, I guess. Then we have how often do you play Jumputi Heroes on average each week? Sadly, I fall into the everyday bracket, but to be fair, it's a game that incentivizes you to come back every day. I mean, even if you don't play any stages, it's still incentivizing you to log in and maybe do your dailies. So it's not surprising. I feel like a lot of people would fall into that. However, the how much time you spend playing the game thing might be a little bit different. I did think mine was a bit skewed because realistically, I spend a lot of time on it, but for like, I need it open for like translations and stuff and reading the news and whatever, so it's gonna take more of my time. So obviously I do fall into one of the higher brackets, but I feel like most people probably fall around here. You could do your dailies in half an hour to an hour quite easily, and a lot of people don't log in beyond that. They'll just do their one a day, maybe fall into this bracket. But I feel like this one is going to be a bit less common. It's only really for the ultras, the hardcores. Even if you log in multiple times a day, like to use up all your stamina with like the times 7 function, it doesn't even take that long. Now this one, yes, this one. Please tell us your 3 favorite series. Bear in mind, this is important. Even if they never tell us the results of this, whatever they have written down at the end, they tally up all the results. If it says overwhelmingly, guys, everybody's favorite series was Assassination Classroom, then they're going to go, well, we haven't done an Assassination Classroom feature festival. We should do one. Well, we should get on one. Even if more logically, more reasonably, the number 1 result was like One Piece. They're like, oh, well, we're already going to do One Piece anyway. We already got some One Piece stuff anyway. Maybe it's Dragon Ball, and they say, oh, well, you know, Dragon Ball, like, we'll maybe release a limit or something. Like, we'll have some plans for that. But there's certain things where they're like, yes, it's somebody's favorite series, but we've already covered that quite a lot. So it's probably not going to get as much content added. Let's look further down the list. And so maybe they get down to 5 or 6 or 7. If a series pops up that surprises them, and they're like, oh, we haven't actually done much with it. Say, for example, The Promised Neverland. Say that showed up. They're like, oh, well, we did give that a feature festival a while back, but we haven't done anything with that since. It's higher than I thought it would be. let's add some new series in. I mean, why not? Some new content from the series, a couple of new units, maybe another feature festival. Who knows? So there's a lot of things that could happen based on the results of this. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of results that are kind of predictable. We expect One Piece to do well. We expect Dragon Ball to do well. Probably Bleach and Naruto to do well. Hunter probably to do well. Jujutsu Kaisen is probably going to be very high up the list. Chainsaw Man's going to be very high up the list. But I think, you know, you just got to vote for what you vote for. And even if it doesn't get that high up the list, if it can get to like a reasonable point, they could be like, well, we can give that 1 unit or 2 units in an ensemble. And then, hey, you just got content for one of your favorite series. Let's go. So I've specifically chosen series that are not well represented in the game. That's what I decided upon in the end. Did I make my my 3 favorite series, the 3 ones I chose? No, I didn't. In the end, I chose Undead Unluck because it's not in the game yet and I want to see it added to the game. I have a feeling Jujutsu Kaisen it's either happening or there's a reason it's not happening, and it's definitely not happening. But whether I vote for it or not is going to make absolutely no difference to either of those outcomes. Same sort of with Chainsaw Man, but I feel like Undead Unluck, I feel like there's a chance. I don't know why, but I feel like there's a chance. I put Undead Unluck. I put Hinamaru Zumo because it has no love. It has received absolutely no love, and it's such a shame. And I put one more series, but I'm actually struggling to remember what it was. I don't know. Well, I'll get back to you if I remember, but I don't actually remember what I chose in the end. Anyway, just pick 3 series you'd love to see content from and pray. That's all you can do. And this is one of the only direct routes of communication we have with the dev team. Somebody is going to read this, even if it ends up being like a robot or something. This information is going to get to the devs somehow. So make sure to have your say. Then with the other stuff, it's a bit more like your opinions on the game and stuff like that. Do you enjoy playing Jumputi? What do you like? What do you dislike? Share your thoughts. And you can choose to go like really in depth with these. You can choose to just basically give no answer or very little answer. That's up to you. Personally, for me, I did put a lot of information in these. I was very in depth. I was asking for very specific things and saying very specific things I didn't like. Like, for example, it's very time consuming. Certain aspects are very time consuming. Like, for example, the Sparks of a Lost Civilization. Like, quite often I find I get to the end of the month and I just haven't had time to do it. And I realize I'm not gonna have time to do it. And it's annoying because it's like, okay, yeah, it's supposed to be like challenging content, but it's not the kind of challenging content you'd see on, say, for example, One Piece Treasure Cruise. I mean, they might have similar stuff, but, you know, say, for example, One Piece Treasure Cruise, the Training Forest. It's a challenging stage, but you beat it once and then you're kind of done with it. You could go back and you could do it if you wanted to, but there's no incentive to keep going back and keep doing the same challenging stages. But with this, it's not like that. It's like, oh, you beat this difficult puzzle, do it again next month. And it's like, yeah, the rewards are good for doing it, but it takes so much time and you have to remember which teams for which stages and whatever. And even if you have the team saved for each stage, it's like, yeah, but do you remember the exact gimmicks and exactly how to beat this specific one and all that? And it just becomes like, it becomes a bit of a chore for me. And there are a few other things like that I just think take too much time. Unity Battle takes too much time. I don't think they give out enough rubies as well. That was another thing. They're too stingy with rubies. I think the sales packs kind of suck. They need to improve the sales packs. There were a few things I had to say, but in terms of the things I liked, I was very positive. I talked about how I like the collection aspect of the game, how there's so many characters in the game. I love that. They've shone a spotlight on a lot of series that don't get gacha games. They don't get games. They don't get anything nowadays. Like, something like Medica Box. What's Medica Box got going on outside of Jumputi right now? Not a lot. And so, to have, like, a Medica Box feature, that's pretty good. Like, they're not doing that in a lot of other places. So, like, I love that. I love stuff like that. And it, like, shows you new series. Stuff that maybe you'd heard about, but, like, you hadn't had a good look at. And this is an opportunity to have a good look at them. And, Yeah, I really enjoyed that. So there was a lot of elements I talked about liking and disliking. And then when it came to the stuff like Tower, yes, I do play Tower every day, but I don't enjoy playing Tower every day. It's just one of those things I have to do to clear my dailies. How often do you challenge catastrophe class events? I've played some of them. I feel like they didn't give enough options for this one. I gotta be honest. I challenged every single one. Surely there's one where it's like, yeah, I've tried most of them, or I don't do them that often. When they're too hard, I just leave them, something like that. But like, it's a bit restrictive. But realistically, they're just asking for rough numbers. They kind of want to know, if you answer, I don't play catastrophe class events, and you answer, I play Tower every day, they're going to get the picture that actually people love Tower. They're playing it every day. And I kind of didn't want to give them that picture, even though they're inevitably going to end up with it, because it's misleading. I have to play Tower every day if I want to clear my dailies. I don't have to play catastrophe class stages. It's only it's a choice. And a lot of the time the rewards kind of suck, so it's like I don't really want to do it, even if it's really hard. And it's like, oh, this is cool special challenging stage. What do I get? I get an emblem, or I get like some limit break doors, or something like that. I might not care, you know. And so I play some of them. I don't play them that often, and then I get their picture. Oh, people don't like catastrophe class stages. Well, maybe they could be handled a bit better. That's all I'm saying. And maybe this is misleading. Super Dimensional Battle. I do enjoy it since it's been revamped. But again, it's just the same repetitive nonsense. And that's one of the things I said. I said, too repetitive. You need ways to switch up a little bit more each week. You need ways to make me care about coming back, give me characters that I could be working towards, something like that. A little bit disappointed in the game mode as a whole, because I feel like it's a cool concept, but they just go nowhere with it. But it's at least more fun since they've updated it, so that's cool. Then they talked about Sparks of a Lost Civilization, and I've already talked a little bit about this, but I did share my thoughts in more detail about how just like they need to do something about it, because as it stands, I auto the first few stages, and then when I get to the point where I can't auto it anymore and get the rank to unlock the next stage, I just stop playing. It takes so much time every month. It's not worth it. Even if the rewards are good, it's not worth it. The level 15 update, I was very candid about my thoughts on the level 15 update. I like the potential of upgrading old limiteds and making them stronger. That's cool. But the amount of jewels they're expecting us to spend is outrageous. One of the things I was very clear about was like, you've released like, on average, I would say 5 limiteds a month. So if each of those are level 15, which they are, you're asking me to spend 27 jewels on each of them, which is already too much. You've already gone too far. 27 jewels across 5 characters. So what's that? That's like that's a lot. Holy. It'd be 270 divided by 2. So it'd be 135. 135 jewels just for the new character. Now, obviously, you're not summoning for all of them, but bear in mind, they are upgrading old units at the same time. So you have the old units, approximately 5 a month as well, I would say. So that's like another 135. So like we're talking like 270 potential jewels output each month. And then the input each month is nowhere near that. Now, admittedly, like I said, you're not summoning on every one, but even if you're just summoning on one limited, you know, a month or whatever, plus the old units getting buffed, it still adds up to too many. And there just needs to be tweaks to how many jewels they're giving out. The sales packs as they stand, them trying to like tempt me to buy jewels, it's not working. Your packs are awful. I've told you which pack to sell. It's the 2,940 yen one. It gives me 3,000 rubies and 30 jewel shards. Do that, and we're good. How do you feel about the release frequency? Again, the release frequency of limited characters, I was very much in detail about, okay, here's all the things that are good about it, and here's all the things that suck about it. The things that are good is when a character you like comes out, there's a lot more chance that they're going to be good, they're going to be useful, they're going to be powerful. It also gives a chance for characters to be limited that maybe wouldn't have been in the past, and there's less focus on like just the protagonists, which I really enjoy. But the downside is I don't have enough rubies, and there's too many limiteds, and it just doesn't add up. Like, I'm so far behind. So I don't like that. But there are tweaks, again, that could be made. And a lot of it really just comes down to they need to give more free rubies and they need to give better sales packs. That, it seems like basic common sense to me. If the sales packs are better, people are more likely to spend money on them. That's the way I see it. And then it says, what kind of content do you enjoy, find interesting in Jumputi Heroes? And I think I chose getting characters to max slot, character collecting, clearing difficult stages, and the gacha. And I think I pretty much left everything else because I didn't really care about everything else. Like, friendship combos, it's like, it's kind of cool, it's kind of interesting, but ultimately, I literally look in, I'm like, oh, okay. And that's it. I guess, like, they're saying, like, working towards it or whatever, but, like, come on. So yeah, I didn't pick that one. I guess others, did I pick others? I probably should have picked others, but it is what it is. And then the final thing was, let us know what are your thoughts, what are your feelings, what opinions, what requests you have for Jumputi Heroes. And I wrote an essay. I had like feature ideas, things they could add. I talked about like series that I wanted them to add to the game from Weekly Shonen Jump first. I mentioned the series that seemed to be impossible to add that I want them to add, stuff like Slam Dunk and Shaman King. It seems impossible for some reason, but please find a way. I talked about new series to be added to the game from like the current era of Jump, stuff like Undead Unluck and whatever. I talked about the potential for like crossovers with other platforms like Jump Plus and like Jump Square and the other magazines and stuff. Even if it was just like a one-off like collaboration type thing where you release like one character from a series, like say for example Blue Exorcist or Spy Family or Dandadan or something like that, and like you can obtain the characters and whatever, but it's like they're here and then they're gone and then that's it, which is how they do it on like Kotodaman and stuff like that. Like they license it for one event and then that's it. And even if it was something like that, that would be awesome. I talked about some features I would like to see. For example, emblems at the moment they suck. They do suck. But if you were to update it, it was more like an emblem collection book, like a sticker book, like you get in you know, like when you're a kid and you collect the stickers to put in your like with the football players and you put them in the book, or like your baseball cards, or I don't know what you call it. Like a Panini sticker book. I don't know what they're called. But anyway, something like that. Or like Pokemon. Like the Pokemon cards. Collecting the cards or whatever. If they had something like that and there were like collections of emblems, it's like, oh, you collect these and you get some rubies and you get some other rewards and stuff. Like, if they did something like that, that would be sick. I really hope they add that at some point. They could, you know, the possibilities for how they could update certain events. Like for example, the Catastrophe class events. They could do a lot to make those work a lot better. The costumes coming back would be one thing. And that was another thing I mentioned. I wanted them to update the costume store. I know they said they're not going to do it, but I made a detailed request basically saying, I know right now you think the costume store is not profitable. There are ways to make it profitable. By making these costumes, and instead of making it that you buy them with pearls, but instead you made it like a pearl gacha, similar to what they have on Cookie Run Kingdom, people are a lot more likely to get involved with that, and people might spend on the sales packs to get pearls so they can summon for their characters, especially if the costumes have like an aspect where you maybe get certain bonuses or whatever. I said a lot of these ideas are stuff I've actually talked about in previous videos. Like, for example, I mentioned like the mascot system, the buddy system, adding mascot characters or potentially like vehicles or items, some kind of equip for your team. And it could be similar to like a legend summon, but instead of it being like a skill, it could be like a passive buff. Like, oh, I have Con from Bleach on my team. That reduces curse by 1 turn for all units. And that could be like, yeah, that's super powerful for like existing content, but for new content in the future, you could make it harder, and it could become a point where it's like, oh, yeah, you need an equip for this. You need one that reduces curse or something like that. I thought that would be really cool. And it wouldn't be like that much overhead. You'd literally have to make like a sprite for the character, and that's it. Compared to like a new character where you gotta add all the animations and all this stuff, you just have to make a sprite and that's it. So that would be kind of cool. I don't know what else I talked about. There was so much I talked about. It was so long. They're never going to read all of it. Just you know what? I've forgotten. There was too much. There was too much. But you get the idea, and I hope everyone else is like. You don't have to go as in detail as I did, but just share your honest thoughts with the devs. What annoys you? What would you like to see? And just fry it through Google Translate or whatever and send it in. And you will get 100 rubies for doing all of this at some point in the future. It says from the 15th of March. And hopefully the end result is that we get some really awesome new content added to the game. They'll see the survey and they'll say, this is what the people want to see. And we just get some awesome new stuff. And I'm hoping that people have just not voted for the same stuff that always gets content. Like, if one of your favorite series is One Piece, respect, much love. I love One Piece too. Don't put it in a survey because you know One Piece is going to get content anyway. So it's just pointless. You should mention something else that you love that hasn't had much content or hasn't even been added to the game yet. And then maybe that has a chance to get something. But if one of your answers is One Piece, if one of your answers is like Naruto, something that's just like Kimetsu no Yaiba, guys, please choose something that you like that has a bit less love in the game already. But anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all again next time.